David Meltzer hosts Office Hours.
It is time to bring our next guest on. Hopefully we didn't scare him away with our alien talk, but I'm 100% on board with you. And our friend Satyen is here, Raja, the CEO and founder of Warrior Sage Training. And he has a new book, Accelerated Evolution, and talk about an absolutely great adjective to describe the world today. I believe is accelerated in every aspect. There's a higher frequency, a higher vibration, a higher acceleration. Welcome to our training on Friday office hours, breakfast with champions. We're multicasting all over the place. Satyen, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. And the discussion you were having was right up my alley. So I was a little jealous I didn't get to hop in on all of that because there's aliens in my backyard right now. But good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a hybrid, and I think it's Alien Musk, not Elon Musk, but we won't go there. There's some basic modern psychology that you utilize in order to allow us to reach our full potential. I was hoping we'd start with the psychology of the accelerated evolution.
Yeah, well, I mentor CEOs of substantial companies, and they're always looking for a fast and deep way of transformation, the ones I'm working with. They don't have all the time in the world to shift their consciousness, upgrade themselves, go to a next stage. My philosophy is that we can push ourselves as fully as we can, really strong and hard, achieve levels of peak performance. But what do you do when you're already at that level of peak performance? I like to go to the next stage, which I call peak existence. Performance is pushing more and more yang energy, which, yes, you'll get a lot of results done in your life, but you'll also have balancing forces. You'll get lack of health, breakdown in relationships if you keep pushing down the yang force. Peak existence is having a life of equilibrium, connecting your soul, your mind, your spirit to your purpose, to your vision, to all that's going on. So that's the main distinction. I help people go from, if you will, mule energy into magician energy, hardworking into manifestors.
Satyen, you just, I think you just summed up my existence for the last 20 years. And I've been on stages and in front of cameras. I've been fortunate enough to do that with Dave for about the last 5 years, explaining to people what my transformation has been. And you just summed it up perfectly. So thank you. And that was it. It was that peak performance versus peak existence. And it all changed when I decided that I was willing to be open enough to look at and to learn all of the things that I had never been exposed to. Born and raised in the Northeast, went to college, went to law school, wore a suit, went to court. That was my existence. Achieved success until I didn't, until I got that burnout that you were talking about, right? And things just didn't feel right. And then it was going down that spiritual path. I'd never been exposed to it, and understanding that everything around us, like you said, is energy. So how do we, and now that is my entire existence. So thank you for that. Thank you for the reminder. Now, more and more people are starting to embrace this. And I love the idea of what you're doing with, the Warrior Sage trainings, and better to be a like a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war kind of thing, and getting people into that mindset. How do we get people to understand what you're talking about when you say energy and spirituality and this different way of existing? Because it is a different dimension. It is a different way of existing that a lot of people don't know.
Well, I'll put it really simply, using the metaphor of a mirror reality. So when we're looking into a mirror right now, I don't have much hair. Some of you guys still, Mike, you still got pretty good hair. David, I'm not sure yet. But, when we look in the mirror, and if we're frowning, obviously the mirror frowns back, okay? The reflection is coming back. If I'm smiling and putting out positive energy, well, the mirror smiles back. It's a very obvious thing that we understand. What we don't understand is reality itself is like a slow motion mirror. It is reflecting back the transmission of who we are, what we're putting out, what we're emanating, what we're filling the room with, but the rate of return of its reflection is slower. So if we're frowning and we hope that the mirror of life is coming back in some happy way, it's not going to happen. If we're smiling and we're open, we're receptive, we're looking at what new avenues, what's my new vision, what's my new purpose, what's the universe have in store for me? How can I be a better man, a better spouse, a better husband, a better father, a better leader of my organizations? When I come from that openness, that willingness, that question, well, guess what? And I maintain that the universe will slowly reflect back like a large yodel. So imagine that, if we have that mindset that truly I am the center of my reality, I'm the one that's generating what's coming back to me, that's a high level of responsibility. Whether it's 100% true or not, that's not the point. The point is, if you make it an attitude, then all of a sudden you go from victim to empowerment. You go from default, that's the way the world's going to work, to no, I'm going to carve out, I'm going to create the world of my own choosing, my own life. Now, as leaders, it's imperative that we show that to our families, show that to all the people that we're working with or working with us, that we're in teams with, because right now, our state of being is the most important thing on this planet right now, in my belief, because that's going to get us over the hump of all the negativity that we've been going through over the last years. The media is full of negativity. I'm glad you two gentlemen are adding to the positivity and consciousness and positivity to the world. So let's put into the mirror reality of the world who we truly are and watch what happens in the return.
That's beautiful. And I just want to add that grass does not grow on a busy street, which is reflective of that beautiful head of yours. So we know someone's a thinker. When we're talking about accelerated evolution, there has to be a foundation in the past.
Yes.
And I spend a lot of time every day researching from Sanskrit to the Course in Miracles to Lao Tzu, and have learned that life is a paradox. And it seems to me, in that accelerated perspective that you have, what are some of the things in the past that are indicative that you've researched to help people understand this evolution of acceleration? Because without the foundation of where you're coming from, I think people have difficulty understanding an accelerated manifestation.
Absolutely. Well, I've been involved in the personal growth, spiritual consciousness journey for about 45 years now. I started as a youth in martial arts, Kung Fu. Kung Fu has a deep warrior aspect, but it has a deep spiritual aspect. Its roots are in self-realization, learning to recognize what our true nature is, utilizing, the duress that martial arts invokes. You learn to find your center. And so our accelerated evolution processes, it's a combination of many forms of psychotherapy, traditional psychotherapy, psychology, neurophysics, ancient Eastern wisdom from many sources, Taoism, as you said. Also, it's based on the metaphysics of duplication. So, in essence, this particular methodology, accelerated evolution, we find out what's stuck in an individual. We can talk about what dreams you have and all of that, but if that's being hampered by unconscious, if you will, family imprints, beliefs that you have that you picked up along the way that are not really fully about who you truly are, they're about appeasing other people, following someone else's path, making mom and dad feel, hey, listen, am I worthy if I'm doing this right, whether they're alive or not? We've got all these imprints that are running us. What we do in our work is we go right to the core. We find out what's bothering you, where are you most stuck in, what's heaviest in your life right now. Could be finances, could be relationship, could be health, could be spirit, wherever it is. Rather than circle around, we go right to the source. We look right at it, and that sometimes can be uncomfortable. But literally, we have a process where we look at what are the images in our mind when we have these stuck moments, trauma moments, challenging bad experiences of the past, things that shut us down in some way. What are the images in our mind? What's the thoughts that we have in our mind? What are the emotions we have in ourself? And what are the body sensations we have? In some forms of healing, you're more sometimes working on the images you have, or you're shifting the mindset beliefs, or you're working on releasing the emotional charge you've built up, or you're restructuring your body, your presence, your physiology. What we do is all of them. Images, thoughts, emotions, and body sensations. And literally, we can go from stuck trauma states. People have been suffering their whole life and literally have it dissolve in 15 minutes or less. This is being studied by some of the biggest universities right now. We have, hundreds of therapists that we've been training, therapists, physicians, doctors, psychologists, all around the world, because of the power and how fast it works and how deep it works. People aren't just looking for something that transforms them deeply. People don't have the time, leaders don't have the time to go around 2-3 hours per day, go to a therapist, go clock in, drive there, come back. Altruistic, well-meaning, but we've actually made a breakthrough in the solution of the most rapid, deepest transformation that anyone can have, that takes them from a stuck state into what we call unity consciousness, or a state of oneness. So it's way beyond psychology, way beyond NLP, way deeper than hypnosis. We go right to the core of the soul. When we heal the fragmented soul, then what shows up in the world totally changes. And the experience, what it feels like, is that you go from pain, suffering, anger, frustration, lack, fear, into oneness. When you go into oneness with the feeling that you're connected to everything, and that you've, if you will, have accelerated beyond the stuff of the world, then what happens is, rather than take 5, 10, 20 years to move through your stuff, in 15 minutes to an hour, you can come out the other end and never have to deal with that problem again. This is a huge breakthrough. It's like, it's like the atomic bomb for healing in a way. In a few minutes, bam, we've dealt with the ego once and for all.
Satyen, I feel like I could sit here and listen to you talk all day. Thank you. And so many parallels and just so many questions that I have. I think the first and the most important one for me is, how do we get people to a point where they're willing to take this step? And I'll use myself as an example. I've been on this journey with mindfulness, spirituality, meditation, biohacking, etc., for about 7 or 8 years now. Over the last 5 years, heavily interested in altered states of consciousness and psychedelics, plant medicine, how that can help us heal. One of the things that I've most recently been interested in and studying is shamanism. I'm getting to the question here. I made a very important but very difficult decision recently, where I would spend 3 months on and off in the mountains outside of San Diego with a shaman to learn what he's been studying for the last 20 years in and out of Peru. That was hard because I'm busy, you're busy, Dave's busy, everybody listening to this is busy. The things that we want them
I'm
to
active.
learn.
I just have to interrupt. I'm not busy. I'm active. Busy people, they're unavailable. I'm active, man. I'm very active.
Active. How do we get them? Because they don't understand this. They're afraid of it very often, right? Fear is the biggest dream killer. How do you get them to a point where you say, slow down, listen to what I have to say. I want you to understand how this can be helpful. And to sum it all up, I heard a great quote recently that slow is smooth, smooth is fast. How do we get people to embrace that in an indigenous and shamanic and spiritual way?
That's a great question. So, Mike, I too have been immersed in shamanism for 35 years, way before people even knew about this. I've been leading medicine ceremonies, ayahuasca and things now and I've had thousands of students coming through, you name it. So this is very close to my heart too. Now, because I come from Bruce Lee's lineage, and Bruce Lee's philosophy is absorb what's useful, discard what's no longer useful, and come up with your own creations. And so I'm one to like my spiritual growth in a hurry, because I like to live, like Dave was saying, the fullness of life. I'm not busy, I'm active. I like to have an active life in life. If you're an individual who likes to have an active life in life, and you're feeling, you know what? I know there's a stirring inside myself that's calling me to live way beyond I'm living now. I don't even know what that means. It just means I feel stuck in my state. There's a momentum of the past. I'm defaulting into what I'm doing. My soul, my being, I'm sick and tired of where I'm at, although I'm just sort of treading the waters in reality and experience. When you've come to that point, you can continue down that road, and it always goes downhill. The universe doesn't change unless you meet it and say, listen, I'm ready for something new, divine. Life, love, the universe, Gaia, Mother Earth, Spirit, however your connection is. I'm ready for something new in this world. I'm ready to live in a more freer, fuller way. And here's the bottom line. If I ask everyone to go to the deepest experience in their life, a pivotal moment where everything shifted, where there was some deep transformation, it could have happened immediately through some challenge, through whatever could have come. Take a moment just to feel what that was, when that happened, when you came really home. The first time I came home and I felt, man, was when I came into my master's Kung Fu school at 12 years old. I felt up to that time I wasn't in, like, I didn't know what life is about. When I came home, everyone, from my wife, it's this moment she got on stage and started dancing as a teenager. Everyone has, you have your own moment. We all have it. Find that moment and then ask yourself, everyone who's listening, do I want my life to be, do I want the foundation of my life to evoke this depth? Do I want my whole life to evoke this sense of home and well-being and connectedness and being on and being in my spirit, being in my flow, being in my fullness? If that's the life you really crave, rather than just have it here and there, that's what you want to listen to. Because that's not only possible, it's our birthright, my friends. That level of freedom is the way we're meant to live. The default of what the system has got us wrapped up in is not really living. It's half gray, half dead living. Real living is when our soul and mind are activated, are in unity, and we can come there fast today. We just have to have the impetus to say, no, I'm no longer going to, here's the essence, Mike, I'm no longer going to tolerate what I have been tolerating. And when you start allowing yourself to no longer tolerate whatever mediocrity, whatever challenges, whatever status quo has got you by the chains, then you need to say, I'm no longer willing to tolerate this. I won't. Just that declaration will bring in forces of change, transformation, and awakening into your life.
Aho.
Wow. Satyen Raja. Do you have an audiobook, by the way? Because I love listening to books. Do you have an audiobook on this yet?
It's coming. I've got my book, Transcendent CEO, coming in audiobook as well.
Nice. I'll be listening to it, but send me a copy as well. Accelerated Evolution. Yeah. This man speaks Mike and my language, and his vibration and frequency belongs in our neighborhood. And our neighborhood is the Breakfast of Champions and office hours. We'll see this man on Apple TV with us as well. We're going to invite him back on many other shows. The world needs more of you, my friend. I'm so glad that I've attracted you into the show in my life. You are speaking the soul speak that I love to listen to and learn from. So thanks for taking the time early in the morning here on the West Coast. I don't know where I am, but Mikey, you on the East Coast or the West Coast?
Miami,
East Coast. All right. We got the whole world covered from Rome to the East Coast to the West Coast. Thanks, Satyen. Check out that book, Accelerated Evolution, warriorsage.com. The man speaks for itself. My past lawyer, my past life as a lawyer. It's called Res Ipsa Loquitur. It speaks for itself. Thank you so much, Satyen.
An honor, gentlemen, and everyone listening. Have a great morning and a beautiful day.
I'll be in touch. Thank you.
So good.